Hey, welcome to the All 49ers show. Grant Cohn, Jose Sanchez, Jesse Naylor's got the week off. He's on a little Christmas vacation. I think he went to Wally World, but we'll see him next week. Yeah, that's where you go. No, that wasn't the Christmas vacation. That was the regular vacation. Anyway, I know where Jesse went, but there's so many people trying to dox him at this time of year. I'm not going to say.
Is Wally World like the Disney thing from the movie, or that literally is a Florida thing?
It's from the movie. Anyway. So this is Jose. If you follow, this is the All 49ers show. If you follow the All 49ers, you've probably noticed that Jose hasn't written an article the last few days. He's on IR. But we are hopeful and confident that he'll be back for the playoffs.
I hope so. Who comes back first, Debo or me? Let's put that on right now. Who comes back, Debo or me?
You? I don't
Debo?
know. What do you think?
Wait,
you tell me.
No, I'll come back before Elijah. I hope it's Debo. I hope it's me before Debo. Sheesh.
So what happened with Jose is he got in a fight with a grizzly bear and won. But he's out for 2 weeks. Anyway.
Hey, I did tell you about on Tahoe a few weeks ago, a bear did ransack a couple of my friends' cars.
Yeah, and then he didn't come back anymore after that because Jose dealt with him. Anyway, so the Niners the Pro Bowl rosters just came out, and there were 6 Niners on the team, and there were 7 Niners as alternates. That's 13 49ers.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of 49ers. That's for them.
That's more than one side of the ball.
It is. It really is. So let's go through the good and the bad. What do you think the Pro Bowl got right about the 49ers?
So you got your standards. Like, obviously, you got the Nick Bosa's, the Trent Williams. The Fred Warner. Yeah, it's like, Kittle, all right, those are chalks. Those are chalks before the year.
Yeah.
I'm so happy they got Talanoa Hufanga. I did not see that happening. I thought he was like, is he Pro Bowl caliber? Hell yeah, he deserves it. Did I think he was gonna get it? No, he's not a recognizable name. Well, now he is. Now I'm like, wow, that's like one of the more shocking Pro Bowl green lights I've ever seen, because it's just like, I understand he's playing for the 49ers, so they're recognizable, and he's been a great defense. People could probably say, oh, he's a product of the defense, and but I guess that just goes to show when you're a ball hawking safety, it matters. It freaking matters, especially when you're durable. The fact that he's there for every game, every snap, and he's making plays on the ball, and he's getting turnovers, he's generating these hits. And then, he might be a little more recognizable than I'm giving him credit for, because people will see his, give him his specific Islander nature. And
he's got the Troy Polamalu connection.
And he's got the Polamalu. People are like, oh, yeah, Polamalu part 2. And then so he might be more recognizable in that sense if you actually think about it. But, man, I am so happy they got that right. I did not see that happening.
Yeah, 4 picks, 2 forced fumbles and a touchdown, 2 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, and 8 pass defense. Like, guy's a baller. And he has given up a few touchdowns, but at the same time, I'll take it.
He's durable.
He's a really good player. I'll take – I like Jaquiski Tartt. He's a good guy. I feel like they're opposite styles of safeties. Tartt's a better athlete than Hufanga. Tartt – maybe follows his assignments more closely than Talanoa Hufanga. But Hufanga just makes plays, and I'll take that. You need that somewhere in your defense, and he's the guy. He's only one of 3 safeties who made the freaking team. Him, Diggs, and Budda Baker. So that's high praise. Also, let's look at some of the alternates. Jake Brendel. Out of nowhere, his first year starting, he's a Pro Bowl alternate. And I'm guessing not a lot of people, fans, voted for him. So that must mean that players and coaches watch the film and they're like, damn, CC4 for the Niners
like
is decent.
Alternates more than the actual. Although, you know what? I don't think the fan votes is 1,000%. They don't always let him in, because Tua was leading for the AFC, and then he didn't get in at all. I think he's an alternate. Yeah, I don't think he got in. I think the leading one. I could correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what it looked like.
Well, I think it's 1/3 fan votes, 1/3 coaches, 1/3 players. So
if pretty much if they think the fans are tripping, they're like, all right, you're tripping, we're gonna supplant you, which is, thank God, good, because I'm pretty sure if it was just fan voting, Talanoa wouldn't have gotten in. No. So you wouldn't have got Burrow over these players. But yeah, I love that they were there. Let's circle. Speaking about Brendel and then Hufanga, let's circle back to when we were talking about it in training camp. Are these guys going to be adequate replacements for their previous starters? You had Alex Mack. He wasn't great, even though he was a Pro Bowler that year, but he's solid. Tartt. I get it. People hate him for the NFC Championship. But overall, he was a solid player. When healthy,
solid fixture on the team for sure.
But now Funga's like, man, like all the questions I had about him is just like, was speed, is he gonna get that play recognition? Is he gonna be able to make up his speed with play recognition and awareness, which he does 1,000%. He's got a nose for the ball. He's like freaking the Fruit Loops Toucan Sam, who's over there fighting for the ball. Like every play, the guy just has a nose for it, which is great. It's massive upgrade. I did not have that on my bingo card this year, or Brendel.
Another one, Ray. He totally deserves it. He's a hell of a returner. Every time he gets he's not like gonna get the touchdown necessarily as a returner, but he's gonna get you 5 to 10 yards more than you would expect, which is all you want. He finishes violently. He's tough, and he gets you. It feels like he gets you consistently 30 yards of kick return.
He doesn't fumble the ball. He doesn't fumble the ball.
That's crazy. He's fumbled it 6 times last year, but this time 0 times.
Dude, that's clutch.
Super deserving of it. Yeah, and like just to see Fred Warner sort of like settle into that perennial Pro Bowler, he deserves it for sure.
1,000%.
Kittle, I mean, I was hard on Kittle this year, but like if he's not a Pro Bowler, who else is in the NFC at tight end?
Tight ends, yeah.
Juszczyk, he's like a lifer in this one. Trent Williams deserves it. Nick Bosa deserves it. So those are all good ones. Let's talk about what the Pro Bowl got wrong about the 49ers.
I think it's hard not to both of us to mention anyone else other than Dre Greenlaw. It
wasn't even an alternate.
Like not an alternate. Like again, I look at the alternates more closely than do anything else. Which either or, it would have been good if he got in either or. He wasn't any of that. How many linebackers are better than Dre Greenlaw in the NFC? Not much.
I don't even think Fred Warner is better than him this year. I mean,
you could argue that. You could argue that.
Greenlaw's the leading tackler on the 49ers. I mean, Greenlaw's had the biggest plays this season. I don't see how.
I guarantee you, if the play of Greenlaw started from week 1, where he wasn't playing like so out of control in that first 4 to 6 week span, then we're having a different story. Or even if it was just after those first few games, but because of that, he was pretty much making like a last minute huff and puff on the way.
Also, the hit on Herbert. The hit on Herbert.
Yes,
he got ejected.
Pretty much like that. Pretty much, I think people will just call that off as like a. We'll X off that game. We'll call it a chalk. Yeah,
but Greenlaw's biggest sin is being too fast. He's too fast and too furious, man.
Well, now it's going on good.
You know
now it's Too Fast and Furious is going on very well because he's in control. He's pretty much staying on the tracks of what he needs to do. He's beelines to his guy. He sees the trajectory, and he's not doing the boneheaded mistakes that a rookie or a guy fuming would make. He's playing sweet. He's playing smart football and aggressive football, which is dangerous, which is always a hard balance to get to the two.
It's impossible. And what disappoints me about this is that I understand the fans not knowing about Dre Greenlaw. Coaches and players, what the hell, man?
Who else got into I didn't see have you seen the list? I'm trying to look at the list. Who else got into the
list of alternates? No, but I know Demario Davis made it as the other starter.
Demario Davis, I guess. Warner. Yeah, that's maybe more name. I would assume maybe it's Jordan Brooks. Because his name was being fluttered around, but I'm not sure how great of a year he was playing. There's also that linebacker of the Packers, but their defense has been pretty bad this year. I just can't think about Devin White. Sorry.
Let's talk about other things they got wrong about the Niners, because Greenlaw definitely got screwed, but there's other things that I thought they got wrong. I mean, no Ayuk.
I'm okay with that one.
Really?
I'm okay with that one. Only because
Debo over Ayuk.
How many? Okay, Debo Ayuk, is blasphemous for sure.
Are you kidding? That's totally reputation. Ayuk has had a better year than Debo. There's no question about that.
So if they're putting 4 starters, right? The 4 starters was Brown, Lamb, McLaurin, and obviously Jettas. So does that mean there's 4 more alternates?
I'm not saying that Ayuk.
No. I'm just asking. So that means instead of starters and 4, that means you're going to put 4 alternates, right, for each one.
Yeah.
If it's 4. So that means is Ayuk a top 8 wide receiver? I think it's just because of his impact, yes, but how many is he actually better than? So you got DK Metcalfs and Tyler Lockett's who've been solid this year. So that's like 5 and 6.
I think he's better than DK.
Yeah, but it's what he's done. It's what he's done. Is he better? Sure, but it's what he's done. I'm just trying to see it with the logical standpoint of that, and the fact that he's pretty much, especially his last several games, it's pretty much been like a bunch of 2 to 3 reception games of like 20, 40 yards, and it's one tug. It's like people want it doesn't wow people for a wide receiver.
I know.
It's
Too bad because on a different team and a different offense, he'd be putting up numbers, but there's a lot of weapons. It's a run first team. Look at the quarterbacks. He never gets his full. I don't know. I just feel like he should have been rewarded this year, and instead they gave it to Debo on like a lifetime achievement award. Like, I don't know. What about McCaffrey as an alternate? Not making it over Tony Pollard?
Pollard turned. It's because of those massive games he had. That's pretty much what it is. I think that's pretty much people just because he had like that blank week for the Chiefs, even though he played efficient, but it wasn't anything. But that pretty much was his only, smudge on his resume for this year. So I think over Pollard, who's pretty much a spellback.
I mean,
not anymore.
Second in the NFC in all-purpose yards by running backs after Barkley. I don't know, man.
Yeah, and then after looking at that, it's like, man, the NFC has running backs that are not, really noteworthy. It's literally Saquon, which is number one, sure. Then you probably would go with McCaffrey, and then literally then there's a fat gap, and then I would probably go like Sanders, Pollard, and then Zeke,
the third one was Sanders, but it's like Sanders is a really good player, and
he's been consistent.
He's in the backfield with Jalen Hurts. So when defenses are looking at the Eagles, they have like split vision. They're looking at two things. With McCaffrey all year, it's been all eyes on him. To use a Tupac reference. So I think that was weak. Last one, Charvarius Ward is an alternate. I mean, good for him, but I think he's starter material. I mean, him or Jair Alexander. I don't know.
Him, not Jair. It wasn't Jair. I saw that had Jair one, and that was a head scratcher. And I love Jair Alexander because of how fluid he is in coverage, but I thought it should have been Charvarius off top.
I think it should have been Charvarius too.
He got a little robbed right there. Jair got it in because of his name for sure. It wasn't better than Diggs is up there deserving. Darius Slay for sure.
Yep.
But man, that should have been Charvarius up there. I don't know what
Tariq Woolen, another guy who's definitely
solid
deserving.
This year. Yeah, solid.
Very solid. But I think Charvarius should have been there too. I think it's kind of interesting. Like the 49ers have the best defense in the league, best defense in franchise history, and only two dudes made the team.
Yeah, that's a little.
Three. Like three dudes, like one at each level. Still. I think they're better than three. I think that the thing about the Niners defense is it's not just three elite players. They have two elite players at every level. I mean, Bosa and some people would argue Armstead. Then you got Greenlaw and Warner and Ward and Hufanga. So that's what makes the Niners defense so
with
special.
Ward, it's like as an alternate, it's a total of 4. But it's like, no, you got to put Greenlaw in there. I think if you put those two, at least Greenlaw in there, and you could say like, okay, 5 total. This makes sense. There's 5 Pro Bowlers. That's pretty much almost about just under half the team. I would be more than okay like that because Gibson has been like a nice fill-in, a good, capable starter. Like looks like he start for almost everyone, and then everyone else like pretty much just holds on to their own as like a stalling, impactful player. So they got a little short in the stick on that one.
I think it's pretty clear that this team is better than last year's Niners team.
Oh yeah,
this team is really good. I mean,
and I think Ward's a big part of that. I think Ward and
the
Greg
addition
Greenlaw,
of Ward
Greenlaw
was
absent.
Greenlaw didn't play last year.
He was absent.
Ward, Hufanga, and Greenlaw are just a reason why this defense went from great to all-time great. And Brendel has more than filled in for Alex Mack. I mean, frankly, if they could just get a better right tackle.
But even with that,
one more thing about what the Niners what they got wrong about the Niners. It would have been nice to see Aaron Banks get an alternate. Good for Jake Brendel, but I was a little surprised that he got the nod over Banks. Locally, it felt like Banks was more of a difference maker this year. Now, maybe I don't know. That surprised me. I thought Banks would be the one that would get the alternate selection. So
yeah, picking guard is always hard. It's always tough as one.
Yeah.
Wait. So hey, quick rundown of the 3 you just mentioned between Ward, Greenlaw, and Hufanga. Who goes from top to bottom like the one who's more responsible for the leap?
I think Greenlaw is the second best player on the defense after Bosa. Greenlaw. And then Hufanga. And then Ward.
Then Ward.
And I think they've all been great. Nothing against Charvarius Ward, but Greenlaw and Hufanga are playmakers. Ward is a shutdown man-to-man corner, which is also very valuable. Very valuable. But he's also had a couple bad games. I mean, the Chiefs torched him. And the Dolphins got him a couple times too, so...
But the Dolphins get a lot of people with Tyreek Hill. You can chalk that up. That's fine.
That's true. That is.
I'd go Ward, Huff, and then Greenlaw, just because they had Aziz last year who was good. So while Greenlaw does provide that upgrade, it wasn't like significant.
Some people saying Travarius Ward's the best corner they've had since Dion. Hey man, can we hold on?
Whoa,
Richard Sherman pretty solid for a year. What about Jason Verrett? Like
Verrett that year, I think might have been the best.
He didn't have Bosa that year, and he was locking people up. Poor Jason. Muhammad says if CMC was on the Panthers, they would have voted him in as a pity, but he didn't make it because the coaches and players are hurt that he's a Niner. Is that true? What do you think? I think he was like, it was him and Barkley were leading the fan vote, so it must have been the
he was leading it. Like, yeah.
They voted in Tony Pollard.
They probably thinking like, oh, you got freaking Kyle or something like that. But it's like, yeah, but he pretty much carried them in 2 pivotal games of the season, the Rams and Seahawks. So I mean, that kind of gets weighted better than other games.
I think he has the numbers. He's got like the gross numbers. I mean, it's him and Barkley in terms of all-purpose yards. Brian Jones says, my fear is B people get exposed in the playoffs. All the fate talk with the fan base has me worried. If it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. Well, here's one thing with Brock that I've noticed. He's a better play-action passer than Jimmy.
Yes.
And teams are selling out to stop the run. But if you can stop the Niners' run game and force Brock into being a drop-back passer, he's not as good of a drop-back passer as Jimmy, at least right now. Because that's a lot of – I mean, you can't get dudes wide open in a drop-back passing game. You can do it in play-action. But a drop-back passing game like zip into tight windows matters, and that's just not his game. So – I'm curious to see what happens. The Niners should be able to run the ball, but sometimes they have problems because they can't run right. That's a big problem for them. They can't run right because of the right tackle.
There's only like 1 or 2 defenses that could probably do that to him, though.
It's true.
In NFC?
It's true. It's true. Greenlaw is OLB, harder to make PB without sacks. Yeah, I mean, I guess he's an outside linebacker, but to me, I would consider him an off-ball linebacker. And when you put him in that category, who's having a better year than him? I don't think anyone is.
I don't like the categories like the linebackers, even DBs in that sense. It's like, can you just go and cover? What can you do? Just put him there and just play with your formation and figure it out.
Jason says over under 2.5 All-Pro selections for the 49ers.
Over. Over.
Bosa will be 1.
Trent Williams, I think, is going to be 2.
Does Juszczyk get All-Pro?
I don't think they count that fullbacks. I had this talk with someone the other week, and I was like, oh damn, you're right. I forgot, but still, I consider him All-Pro. I mean, come on, I consider him. You know what they do? They I think that's why they put 2 running backs on the same All-Pro. Actually, yeah,
they don't count it. It'll be Bosa, Warner, and maybe Trent Williams. Off reputation.
But this is All-Pro, not first. First
All-Pro. That's what I'm saying.
Team. First and second.
Bosa, Warner will make it. I think Warner will make it. Am I wrong?
I think Warner will make it. Because what is that?
How
what is
do
that?
You not have the middle linebacker, the best defense All-Pro? They have to have more than just Bosa in the All-Pro team. This defense is too good to not have more than, I don't know. I think I'm going over.
If Kittle keeps going the way he's going the last couple of weeks, he might make it.
Greenlaw got robbed. Still gonna wear my 57 and 71 jerseys. Cali Trevor.
At the same time, like we're in the same time because those some layers. You kind of need it. It's kind of cool outside.
Damn time. King Geo says, funny how I told you about Huff 3 months before he was drafted. I'll call in Sunday so you can finally
get him.
Everyone, let's have a moment to give us a golf clap for King Geo.
Make his AirPod explode.
Right about something. Good job. Matthew Sanders says, the way I remember it, it was always a year behind for guys like Justin Smith, Navarro Whitner, C. Rogers, D. Goldson, etc. It takes a year to catch up.
What do you mean like to catch up?
Sometimes, depending. It didn't take a year for freaking Talanoa, right?
Oh, that's what.
All right. Yeah. Okay, so the Niners have locked up the 3 seed playoffs. They're in. 3 more games. All they can achieve. Well, they might be able to get that number 1 seed, but that would take a lot. They could definitely get that number 2 seed. Should that be their goal? Should they strive for the number 2 seed? At all costs.
For the next 2 weeks, yeah, that's got to be their pretty much almost like a priority. Because obviously we know they have the next 2 weeks, the Commanders in a few days, and they got the Raiders on New Year's Day. Those 2 are going to be wins off top easily. I'm not even going to blink at those. Those are going to be wins for the 49ers. Now the Vikings, on the other hand, they could probably suffer a loss along the lines like they got the Giants and the Packers. I think they can go 1-1 in one of those games, if not maybe 0-2. I think they're going to split one of those games for sure, which at that point is going to all of a sudden create a dramatic season finale of Vikings, Bears, and Niners, Cardinals. But say the Vikings win out, then I think if you're the 49ers, you're going into that week 18 season finale game against, Cardinals, who are pretty much just just the replacements from the movie, and just pretty much chalking it up as just like, you know what, this is a game where we're just going to rest like 8 of our starters and not worry about it. Because if it comes to that point where we got to win the final one, I don't think it is worth it, because what's the difference between number 2 and number 3? You got to go on the road to play the Vikings on the dome? That's not a home field advantage. You don't got to worry about that. So I think if the Vikings split in the next 2 weeks, any of the next 2 games, you definitely compete to the end. But if you're both going neck and neck, it's like it's not that serious, because the worst thing, you got a small travel to a dome team that you can destroy because they're soft. I don't think it's that much pressing need at that point.
Well, I think Kyle Shanahan already tipped his hand that the Niners are going to be striving for the 2 seed. I mean, I think most conventional wisdom would say heal up, rest up, be ready for the playoffs. And he talked a whole lot about it. He was like, I think that's the wrong approach in the NFL. I think a lot of teams that do that usually have quick exits in the playoffs because they're rusty. So I don't think they're going to take that approach, and that's fine. I think they can play hard and win the next 3 games, but there are certain things they can dial back on while still putting the pedal to the metal, like how they've been using Christian McCaffrey.
Yep, 1,000%.
I get it. I get it in Seattle when you're like not taking that game for granted and you just want to clinch the division. Fine, whatever. No, stop with the 30 touches a game or whatever. Like, you need to not do that anymore. Because, look, you got Trey Lance hurt running between the tackles. It was obviously your fault. We called you out. A lot of people had your back. You got Deebo Samuel hurt playing running back. We called you out. A lot of people had your back. It was obviously your fault. Dude, don't do it again. Don't get Christian McCaffrey injured before the playoffs start when you already locked up the number 3 seed. That would be so dumb. And yeah, a lot of people would have your back, but not me and Jose, because we see through that.
And Grant, to add to the points that I think we're pretty much similar on. Look, I'll give him, okay, fine. I get it why he did it, even though I disagree that against Seattle, you had the division online. I get why you ran him to the ground, all that stuff. Do you need to do that against the Commanders, the Raiders,
Hell no.
the Cardinals,
Hell
and no
no.
one?
You can win without doing that.
I'm
not saying give games away, but you can win without doing that. Yes.
Just to host a game against the Vikings, just for that, against the Vikings. Is it that much of a big deal to host a game against the Vikings? Come on. Like, I mean, sure for them, which also, I thought about this the other day too, earlier in the week, is, man, of all the times that the 49ers under Kyle Shanahan have been in the playoffs, they have literally been guns a-blazing, storming to the playoffs, because they've clinched the division in the playoffs, the final game of the season. This time, it's like, well, we got all this time. What the hell do we do now? And it's almost like, so I understand what he's talking about, like, because so many teams like, oh, we're going to rest our starters, and they come out and they get, clotheslined in the first round. So I get why he might be like, we got to play it, dude, because, momentum matters, especially since we don't got to buy. But again, this is where, context matters. And the same thing about what you just said is, all right, cool. You could still play them, but just don't put them too many compromises. Don't act like it's a must-win game for these games. Play them. And then dictating on where like the momentum of the game's going, just don't play that huge risk factor with the McCaffrey 1,000 times into these players.
Don't overplay them, but at the same time, like, don't get cute. Like, Brock Purdy needs these reps. Like, you can't just all of a sudden sit a bunch of starters and just throw away games. But at the same time, you don't have to. I don't understand. I mean, I do understand, but like the way they've been overusing Christian McCaffrey, they've gotten real lucky that he just has knee irritation at this point. Like, they need to be damn careful. But
I think the biggest ones that they actually did overuse them was just the without Deebo being there. Obviously the Rams one, necessary. I felt it. Season was on the line against Seattle. That one, okay, I get it, but I'll push back more on that one just because, like, we've seen Jordan Mason. He's proven he can be efficient. Why not just give him a little, like, 5 more touches in the middle of the game? But whatever, I get it. He can use the excuse. Well, I was going to go ride or die with the guy we traded all these picks for, paying him in a big time game, prime time. Okay, fine.
Right.
But now the rest of the week, rest of the season, I don't want to see none of that because there's nothing on your side that dictates why you need it. Or maybe he's going to flip it on us and be like, I wanted to get the number 2 seed. Like, is it really that serious? Come on. I think the Niners can go into Minnesota and put a beat down on them.
Here's the thing that makes it complicated. Yes, they can go into Minnesota and win. But then what do you do after that? Do you stay out east? Do you come back? Does that make it more difficult to win in Philly the next week if you have to? Like, the travel adds up. And frankly, as
Yeah.
I don't have to play football, but I have to do that travel too, and I'm already tired thinking about going to Minnesota. It's hella freaking cold, coming back, going to Philly, hella freaking cold. Like,
Yeah, where is that? 3? Minnesota?
flight to Minnesota, 4. It's a cool 4
Oh, wow,
hours.
it's 4. Okay.
Yeah, it's a cool 4 hours. It's like it's almost going to Chicago. It's not, and it's cold as hell.
Right.
It's like negative degrees when you get off the plane. So I don't know. It'd be better to get that 2 seed if they can. And I think what's good about the Niners is they can strive for the 2 seed and get it without doing anything irresponsible. That's it. Just don't do anything irresponsible. Win the next 3 games. It's not that hard. Come on,
yeah.
Washington's going to score 9 points this week. 9.
Yeah.
Tops. Come on. What are we talking about here?
Maybe a couple more of garbage points.
Maybe. Callie Tremor says, yes, both jerseys at the same time. Y'all hilarious. Also, will the first game be at home or away?
Wait, with the long sleeve or without a long sleeve? That's on question number 3 now.
Niners should prioritize health into the playoffs. Absolutely. Absolutely. They can win these next 3 games without doing anything irresponsible. McGlinchey was the worst Pro Bowl snub. He gave up the sack in the Dolphins game. He's not a sub. He's not. Commanders are live dogs itching for that number 7 seed. They are.
I think the Lions are going to take it from them. I think the Lions are going to win. They're going to get it. I've been saying that for like 2-3 weeks now. Lions are going to get in.
All right. Do you think the 49ers are the team to beat in the NFC now that Jalen Hurts has a shoulder injury? I mean, he should be back for the playoffs, but what's his shoulder going to be like? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it's going to be crucial. I'm not even sure if that was just throwing shoulder. I think it was a throwing shoulder, right? If you can recall. I'm not even sure, but whatever.
Sure.
A shoulder injury for a guy who makes a lot of his impact with his legs running the football is obviously not a great situation to be in. But like even without that, like, he has a great touch on those 10 plus, 20 plus yard passes to AJ Brown and Devontae Smith in the intermediate. So that's going to be both of them. It's going to be it's going to really hurt them. I mean, now you got Minshew Mania coming in. So hell yeah, I think the 49ers are a team to beat, because I think right now they're rolling with the head of steam. They're on a 7-game winning streak. I know the Eagles are pretty much flying high too, but Jalen Hurts did a lot for that offense. It is not so much because, like you said, Miles Sanders, it's a throwing shoulder. Okay, that's even worse. Great. Miles Sanders, like you said, benefits from that dual threat with Jalen Hurts. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna run the rock with him? No, they're not really efficient, too great at that. That's not their MO is to run the ball that way. They want to keep you on your toes and get you guessing where the ball's running, and then throw these deep shots or play action, whatever they want to do. So yeah, I think their defense is still gonna be stout for sure, but I think the 49ers defense is better. I think the only thing the Eagles have over the 49ers is that secondary. So at that point, and with Purdy playing great, I think the 49ers, I give them the slight edge in that.
What's interesting about this question to me is that how similar the Eagles and the 49ers are. They're both built to sort of carry their quarterbacks. And so if there's any teams in the NFL that can survive the loss of their starting quarterback, it's these two. It's these two. So Hurts goes down. He's a hell of a player, MVP candidate, Pro Bowler. Well, Gardner Minshew's, I mean, he's not great, but on this team, I think he could win a lot of games. I don't know if he beat the Niners, but is he a worse quarterback than Brock Purdy? I don't know. I mean, they're quite similar, actually. So
could be a lot worse backups for sure.
Yeah, like they're very similar, and they both have great defenses and weapons. And the one thing that Philly has that the Niners don't have is a just stacked offensive line, left to right, all 5 guys. And the Niners, they have good left tackle, left guard, center. But the right guard's really young, and the right tackle is really washed.
The Eagles aren't soft either. They could handle a boxing match, a bloodbath for sure.
So I won't go as far as to say that the Niners are the team to beat in the NFC, but I do think they can beat. Of course, they can beat the Eagles.
I'm just thinking also
they can beat the Eagles.
Because if say Hurts is out for the year, not for the year, excuse me, the regular season, he comes back in the playoffs, I can get that bye. Like, how rusty is he going to be? Like, is he going to be, because right now he was clicking, and it's like, man, now you're going to, it's funny. We talk about how Kyle's like, why are you running Trey and Debo in the situations when there wasn't called for? Why is Sirianni, I know he's not the play calling, but why is the Eagles running Jalen Hurts against a 3-win Bears team? Like, I was like, wait, what? I'm sure you can win without running him this much, right? I don't know. Like, it's these teams, it's like just straight, just like go hard or go home mentality. We're just going to throw it all at you. And, if you get hurt, you get hurt.
But now they feel dumb. lightweight. William
That's
Bennett
right, they got
says,
Mitchell
"Will
Mania.
with Jalen Hurts hurt, can the Niners get the number 1 seed?"
Okay,
Maybe
I think
if
it's possible. They
Yeah,
gotta lose out, and the Niners gotta win out. That's the only way. Which
but I
I
don't
do think the Niners are gonna win out. I think the Niners are
Sure.
100% gonna win out.
for sure. But I don't think the Eagles are going to lose out with Gardner Minshew. They're a really good team. They're like the Niners.
Yeah. There's no way they're gonna lose all three. They
I
got
don't think so.
Cowboys, maybe Cowboys. They got Cowboys on Saturday.
Sure.
Saints, Saints at home. That's gonna be a win.
Mm-hmm.
Giants season finale. Most likely probably will win, but the Giants probably are going to be fighting for maybe a higher seeding or to solidify themselves as well. Because even though they're pretty much in a good spot, I don't know if they're necessarily 100% guaranteed yet.
Minshew is not bad, and he's never been on a team this good.
Yeah, I don't see Minshew being bad where they're going to lose all three.
Nah. Would the Niners rather see Min or Washington round 1?
Ooh, I'd say after last Sunday, Washington.
Yeah, man. Justin Jefferson is unguardable, and Dalvin Cook is great. And I'm not gonna say anything nice about Kirk Cousins.
No, Commanders it's not. Commanders just has a solid defensive front. That's it.
Jimmy G is now Micho Rizzo on Hood. I don't get it. Do you get it?
Micho Rizzo. Why does that sound familiar to me?
I don't get it. Sorry. All right, I got a question. Do you think the 49ers veterans are treating Brock Purdy like a pledge? Here's what I mean. Jose wasn't in a fraternity. I was in a fraternity. I was in Sigma Nu. I was in Sigma Nu at UCLA.
Sigma Nu, boy!
Sigma Nu. So when you want to be in a fraternity, you got to pledge. And you're not one of the guys for like a full quarter. And you got to go there and clean up and show respect and all that stuff. And all the the older people got to essentially decide when you're ready to be a brother.
Dude.
And I know it's ridiculous, right? But
yeah, that's a little bit.
It's super ridiculous. But a football team is a little bit like a fraternity. And I feel like this particular football team has a lot of frat tendencies. And if you think about it, like Jimmy Garoppolo, even though he's not there, is still the president of this fraternity. And George Kittle's like the social chair. And I would say that Kyle Juszczyk is like the dude who's in charge of philanthropy. So those are the three guys in charge. And I feel like they big dog people, especially rookies. They treat rookies like pledges. And I don't know. The way I see it is yesterday you had Brock Purdy passing out Christmas cards, little like a pledge. And today we asked George Kittle about it, and he was like, oh, yeah, he did that in front of the media on purpose just to get a little, we're going to fine it. He needs to be fined for that. It's like, that's how you talk about pledges, man. And look, I get it. Like, you want to create a culture of, you got to earn your spots on this team. You got to earn your stripes. Great. Dude, if you're going to win Super Bowl this year, it's going to be with this kid here. Is it really productive to treat him like the pledge? I don't know, man. What do you think? How do you interpret the dynamics of this team with the kid stepping into the huddle and trying to take command?
As funny as that is, I think I see where George is coming from. Actually, now that you told it to me a second time right now, I think his idea, his logic, Kittles and whoever else you check of producing that is pretty much just to keep him hungry in a sense, and just keep him working for it. Like, hey kid, great, you're playing great for your first few games. We're clinched the playoffs, clinched divisions. Don't let that go to your head. You still got to prove stuff.
Right.
And pretty much
because we all did. We all went through Hell Week and hazing and like you have to do it too. Don't.
And he's pretty much starting. He pretty much almost started the famous Jim Harbaugh to Ryan Day quote. He's pretty much started on second base for that first game. Pretty much, he has all this talent around him, a good team. The team's vying for a playoff berth, literally right there. So I think, there's pretty much just like, hey, we got to talk. You still got to work for it, dude. We need this. This is our Super Bowl bound team. We lost Jimmy. You're the replacement. Let's do this. So I think I totally see where George is on. I'm on George's side for that.
But the way I see it is like for them to win the Super Bowl this year and be the first team ever to win a Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback, Brock can't act like a rookie and the team can't treat him like one. Everyone has to sort of pretend like he's a bro. He's been initiated. They have to treat him like he's been initiated. Because if they, treat him like he's not one of the guys, I don't think you can win a Super Bowl that way. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is too psychological. But to me, what Kittle's doing is right most of the time. But in these circumstances, you got to let Brock be the leader of this team. And when he tells you to shut up on national television, on NFL Network, you got to take it, George, because you're not the quarterback. You're the tight end.
I think he's doing that Purdy, being that loud, rah-rah leadership figure in the huddle on actual game day. And then through the week, that's when it's like, hey, man, we still got to be a little humble. We still got to work for it. I still get it. I don't mind that. I don't think if you let him into your circle and just like, hey, we're just rah-rah buddy, like it's all good. I think he could still do that. And being a supportive teammate both times, no matter which side he takes. But at least this one by like almost like, sunning him, little brothering him, I would say, is at least just keeping him with the eye on the prize. It's like, hey, man, you're still climbing towards something. You're still working towards something because everything's a work ethic. You don't want him to get anywhere near content at all and make him feel like he's there just because, he beat the Bucs and Tom Brady. He helped the Niners lead them to an NFC West title game in a short week. So there's a lot of praise coming towards him. And I think it's almost like trying to keep him leveled because there's so much going on. I mean, look, I've already said he's better than Jimmy in terms of elevating the offense. He's already putting Trey Lance on notice and like all this and like first time rookie core, all this, everything's accolades coming his way in praise. So I think that's a way to, hey, this is a safety mechanism here on Brock Purdy that let's try to pull him down to earth just in case, not saying he is, but just in case he could be feeding into that, thinking a little bit like that. I like it. I'm okay with it.
Yeah. And it seems to be working in the sense that Purdy is thriving. And maybe he's doing it in spite of George Kittle. Maybe from his perspective, Kittle hasn't fully embraced me. He's treating me like a pledge. I'm the starting quarterback of this team. Fine. I can thrive under these circumstances. I mean, it seems like what's been so impressive with Purdy is that he's been able to find this balance of being a aggressive, forceful leader, but not taking it too far, and respecting the older people on the team. Like, you can't be a wallflower, but you can't be a steamroller. And it seems like he's found this line, and George is pushing back against him, and maybe that's the right thing. But at the same time, like, I don't know, man. It just feels like, for example, going back to that thing with the T-shirt, it just feels like George keeps trying to make the point of like, man, the three top dogs in this team are still me, Jimmy, and Kyle, and nothing's going to change that. And it's like, I don't know that that's necessarily like a necessary thing to say at this point. Like, Brock is the president of the fraternity right now, for all intents and purposes. He is. Sorry. If you're going to go anywhere this year, he's the president. And it doesn't mean he's going to be the president next year. But you can't, I don't know. I feel like you got to reinforce him a little bit. And when he goes around and gives Christmas cards, maybe George should just be like, you know what? I thought it was sweet. I thought it was charming. I don't know.
I'm wondering if what his idea wasn't stemmed or influenced. Not saying he necessarily said it, but from Kyle Shanahan. Because remember, Kyle Shanahan challenged Nick Bosa one week, and then he challenged George Kittle going into Seattle week.
Right.
So maybe that's the same. It's not identical, but there is like some similarity to it to a degree.
Remember when George Kittle said that Brock Purdy told someone to shut up in the huddle in practice? Remember when he said that?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder who that was. Was it George?
Maybe George messing around. He's like, come on, Purdy, boy, or whatever you're saying. Come on, Purdy, my man. I don't know.
Because all I know is that he told him to shut up again on national television. He talks too much.
Maybe he did. Maybe George saw your tweet and he gave him a nice little light punch to Purdy. He's like, come on, Purdy's a word, man. Let's go. Something like that. And Brock just looked at him like, what the hell are you doing, you cornball? Shut up. Come on, let's go.
Anyway, Brock kind of reminds me of like the president of the pledging class. You know what I mean? Like he knows not to overstep his bounds. He knows he can't just hang out with the big dogs and the seniors in their rooms like he's one of the guys. But at the same time, he walks that line very well, which you need from your pledge president. Otherwise, someone's got to do it. Anyway,
it's working. Whatever it is,
it's working.
Keep on it.
It's working. Matthew says McGlinch's sergeant at arms sitting doing nothing. Yeah, I think the Saints can be the sleeper. No.
Hell no.
I disagree. I disagree.
Sleeper what? They can stay asleep.
Pick the best Niners Pro Bowl team selections, 2012 versus 1994. Dude, you'd have to give me the names. Sorry,
2012 had like 5 or 6, I think, maybe even 7.
Yeah. Can you let me know what good D-line has Philly played that makes you say their O-line is great? If all you played is mediocre D-lines, then of course it'll look good.
What offensive line does the Niners play? That's great.
What offensive line is better than Philly's? I'm not
Plus,
saying it's all-time. I'm not saying it's an all-time great offensive line or that it's better than the Niners' defensive line, but it's the best offensive line in the league. It is.
There's a lot of bad offensive lines out there. I think if you're just even remotely
lines.
good, that already puts you like that emphasizes you and props you up more than better than you are. But again, that just shows like the fact that you're remotely good should probably classify you as almost elite, if not already.
Has Levi Stadium gotten better in terms of home field advantage?
I mean, the Niners have lost once there with the Chiefs this year, and even dating back to last year. So it's whatever's going on good for them. It's clearly something's clicking. Something's clicking for them.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, last one. Brian Griese seems to be a really good coach for Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy. But there's still a very large chance that Trey Lance is going to be the starting quarterback of this team next year and moving forward because Jimmy's probably not coming back and Brock Purdy's played less than 3 games. Do you think Brian Griese is a good coach for Trey Lance?
Yeah, I don't think he's the optimal one yet because Trey doesn't have enough tread in his tires for Brian to even, for Coach Griese to even key in on anything to work on with him. I mean, you see something in practice, but a lot of times in practice things could be going well. He's not really getting like the live looks that I think maybe Coach Griese could really go in and, just really tinker with. Whereas Purdy, he's got the practice and he's got, his whole college take from the plethora of games he played. And even Garoppolo. I mean, Garoppolo, I think Brian Griese played a big part in why Garoppolo was playing at a high level this year. He wasn't turning the ball over, which is rare. He didn't have too many negative throws this year. And we actually saw a lot more of him going off script, challenging a little bit more downfield, even though they might not all have been completed. But it definitely seemed like a little more of a different dynamic Garoppolo. And then you transition to Purdy, and it's like, this guy's raring and ready to go. And he's even better and just looks great. Whereas with Trey, it was like, he's still raw. What has Brian Griese really done with them? So I think in terms of the style, I think Brian Griese is more suited for the style of players that Purdy and Garoppolo are, especially since they're similar. That's why you get so many coaches saying like it's a seamless fit in terms of transition from Garoppolo to Purdy. Whereas, Lance, he's definitely more mobile. He can run, he can scramble, and he's got a larger arm. So I think, because remember when he got hired, Kyle talked about Brian Griese being the the psyche coach almost. And with these guys, Garoppolo and Purdy, I think it's been almost the whole package.
I agree. And I think what we're seeing with Brian Griese is I think he was instrumental in the selection of Brock Purdy. He wasn't here when the Niners drafted Trey Lance. And we'll never really understand why or how the Niners landed on that choice. But he was not involved. I think my best guess is that Kyle wanted Mac Jones. And to make sure that he would get Mac Jones, he traded up. And then the whole world told Kyle, you can't take Mac Jones with the 3rd pick, which was true because they could have just taken Mac Jones with the 12th pick. You didn't need to trade up for Mac Jones. So I think he tried to talk himself in. I think the whole organization tried to talk themselves into someone with more upside, who was Lance. So that was not Griese's thing. He comes in, and they're like, we got this kid. We want to draft another quarterback, and he's
we
like,
need your help.
I like that guy. I like Brock Purdy, and so does Clint Kubiak. He feels that way too, or whatever. Clint.
I think it's Clay.
Clint.
No, Clint.
There's 2 of them. One is in another. Anyway.
Yeah, there's 2 of them. Yeah.
So Griese's that tells me he's invested in Purdy. I don't know that he's invested in Lance. I don't know. Give him a chance though. Give him a chance.
I think once Trey gets like more reps under his body, not just in the practice rep, it's just we need game reps from him, whether it's preseason, regular season, just something, and then so Brian Griese can go off something. I mean, even everyone this guy's just a huge mystery. Where Purdy, it's like he had something to go off of, a huge slew of games from Iowa, and he just looks at it and is like, okay, I can see this and that. Like, let's work on this. And then the same thing with Garoppolo. And since Garoppolo and those two have like some similarities, especially stylistically, he can just be like, hey, you see what Jimmy just did? Don't do that. Or you see what he's not doing? Do that. We need you to do that. So I think it's a lot more translatable all transferable skills that he can like uplift with him and try to instill in him coaching wise with Purdy. Whereas it's like it's a little bit more tough with Lance because he has to be more. You can't just confine him as just like that pocket quarterback. You have to allow him to be him to an extent.
Yeah. I guess we've been asking a lot all year, like how much credit does Brian Griese deserve?
At least a little bit, right?
A little bit. I mean, he's had his best results with the veteran Jimmy and Brock, who's been playing forever. I feel like a really good quarterback coach would get some results with Trey. But, I mean, the guy got hurt immediately. So, I want to see what Griese does with Trey. That's the ultimate test. Because, I mean, whether or not you like him or that's your first choice, that's a big challenge. That's a big project. If you're a legit coach, you can make some headway there. You can make him improve. So that's what I want to see.
Huge too with that injury and trying to get him to reworked and try to get like his mechanics, everything like back to being polished again, or not again because he was flawed in a lot of his mechanics too. But I just helping him play a part in getting him back to where can be and just and applying that to like a real offensive practice session. So I think Brian Griese is going to play a big part in reintegrating Trey back into the offense and getting him back up to speed again, because that's a lot of time not playing ball and you're coming back. You're wondering, am I still the same guy with this injury?
The Lions will take out either Minnie, Dallas, or Philly for us.
Minnie? Oh, like in the playoffs?
Yeah.
I think they could beat the Vikings if that actually came down to it. I think of all the teams the Vikings could see if they're second versus seventh, they do not want to see the Lions. That's divisional, and that can always go either way.
Dustin the Gale says, thoughts on Grant, you're so grounded, comment from Kittle, LOL. So here's what happened. It's that week pre-Christmas where the players get Christmas questions. So someone asked Kittle, like, what's your favorite Christmas song? What's your favorite Christmas tradition? And his locker's right next to McCaffrey, who had just talked. So McCaffrey's there, but like turning away. And Kittle says, my favorite Christmas song is Mariah Carey. And you just hear from the background, like McCaffrey go, that's an artist. And Kittle goes, yeah, but everyone knows that song. And I just, I'm a prick. So I was like, yeah, except you. Clearly you don't remember what the name of the song is. And you said it's my favorite Christmas song. And he goes, oh my God, Grant, you're so grounded. It was just Kittle likes to banter. That's the way I saw it. So he was grounding me. But what I wanted to say was, dude, I'm 5 years older than you. There's no way you're grounding me. I am your elder. So no, not happening. But he forgot the name of his favorite Christmas song, and he had to think about it and kill time and burn time. And he finally remembered that it was, what was it? What's the Mariah Carey song? All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Oh, shut up. God damn it.
Jesus says, besides the Eagles, who is a team in the playoffs that can give us a run for our money if we come in underestimating them? Minnesota, dude. They have Justin Jefferson. He's that good. I mean, look, we make fun of Minnesota all the time. They've beaten Buffalo this year. Like, they've had some big-time wins that the Niners haven't had. So, I still think the Niners are better than Minnesota, but that's a team that qualified. I guess Detroit.
Yeah.
Detroit almost beat them last year.
Yeah.
If Kyle loses with Brock, do you give him another chance knowing Brock was better than Jimmy? Yeah, I don't think Kyle's getting fired this year. What do you think?
No, wait, you
give him another chance.
Wait, I interpreted it like if Kyle loses with Brock, you give him. Okay, no wait. Yeah, no, they're staying. I thought you meant is it giving Brock another chance just to come back and compete? Like, because I mean, I think it's pretty much set if Brock maintains this level that it's going to be a quarterback controversy.
Doesn't it seem like Brock has won over the locker room more than Trey ever had?
Yes, because Trey never had a chance to.
True.
Trey never had a chance to. Brock did, and he took full advantage of it. And he's blowing expectations out of the water, and he's better than Jimmy. It's crazy.
True. Hey,
I'm just happy.
Are you looking forward to Jimmy Garoppolo playing for the Raiders next year?
He's going to play for the Jets or the Patriots. You saw Trent Brown liked a post that talked about we got to replace Mac Jones. I'm paraphrasing here about the post. Mac Jones for Brady or Garoppolo or whoever, and he liked it. I mean, back to the post things, controversies, but I mean, watching that Raiders Patriot games made me throw up in my mouth. That was so boring. Patriots are a bad.
Can I just say real quick that this whole Patriots year has been so satisfying? Like, Bill Belichick, I felt like always got too much credit for that dynasty, and they always talked about, that team so good at situational football. They always know what to do. On the final play of the game, Jacoby Myers throwing it.
They went rogue.
60 yards backwards to buy. That was great. Way to go, Bill Belichick. Way to have him ready for that situation. What a fraud.
Crazy.
What a
Dude,
fraud.
the moment that Ramondre Stevenson started, he had like a 20-yard gain. And then he just turns around and tosses it. And once I saw that happen, I was like, oh no. This is like the worst thing you could do right now. Just go to overtime. And then.
Oh my
I
guess they just weren't well coached. 2012, Gore, Staley, Upati, J&A, Smith, Willis, Bowman, Goldson, Whitner. Damn, that's a lot. 94, Young, Waters, Rice, Brent Jones, Polu, Stubblefield, Dion.
Oh, shit.
Tim McDonald, Hanks. Damn. This team should have had that many. The 94 team, I feel like, is a better team than the 2012 team because the 94 team won the Super Bowl. The 2012 team did not. 94. Steve Young, Jerry Rice, and Deion Sanders are 3 of the top 10 players at their position. Rice number 1, Deion number 1, Steve top 10. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, the only one in the Niners is pretty much just Patrick Willis.
Jesus says, I know a bunch of Raider fans that keep talking, starting to feel a little worried. Should I, or are we going to blow them out? What do you think?
Wait, I keep talking because that's all Raider fans do. Because they have nothing else to do. Because the only ones they have more fight than their own team.
True. Dustin the Gale says Trey has shown support to BP on his Instagram stories. Also, isn't Trey basically healthy? I feel like he's being asked to keep a low profile. Does feel that way. But to Brock's credit, he's giving credit to Trey as well. But I agree with the last part of that sentence, and I don't know why. Anyway, that's the end of the show.
Players always a low profile.
Yeah, but I mean, is he still injured?
He's on injured reserve, so
yeah, that's right. It's true. Anyway, hope you're not on the TB12 to Niners bandwagon. I mean, you got to. It's nice to have options, man. Let's see what Brock Purdy does. He might be the next Tom Brady or not.
If Purdy just continues this anywhere close, it stays in the same ballpark, doesn't massively derail. He can start to look bad, but just massively derail. Brady's an afterthought. It's not happening.
Hayden Berry, the TNT Slayer, says, I just don't get it. How the Niners seem like they are done with Trey. Give the kid a chance unless Brock wins the bowl. I just don't get it.
They're not giving up on him. It's just going to be more of like a competition next year, which could be good for Trey. Might be best for him. Because, wait, you were there for 2 training camps. What was his best training camp? As a rookie or this past one?
Well, as a rookie, because this last one, he had to go against the Niners' starting defense.
Okay, that's true, yeah.
Kittle was barely out there. Debo was barely out there. I mean, it's the best defense in the league.
Pretty much just if he wasn't throwing to Ayuk too, it was pretty much a dead play.
All bad. Yeah, exactly. Huge fan of you, too. Appreciate you guys answering questions. We don't need Tom Brady. Yeah, but just leave the door open.
Okay, after the way he played against the Niners especially, well, he's kind of been playing like that all year, Tom Brady. But that, and especially that was like the exclamation point against the on the Bucs-Niners game, and the way Purdy's been playing, and if he just keeps along that line, he can teeter, he can wander off. Like a swerve off like a snake. I think now it's over. It's Trey and Purdy season, and you just bring in a vet, like someone like, I don't know, just on a year $2 million deal because Purdy's cheap,
super cheap. All right, the show is over. Stop giving me money. The defense can't be all time without the number 6. Need that.
Without number 6,
need that.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I think they're on the way.
True.
They just might. Here's the thing, though. We talked about can they beat Philly? Yeah, they can beat Philly. My question is, can they beat the Chiefs when Andy Reid has 2 weeks to prepare? That's hard. Bills, even the Bengals, man. Those are 3 really good quarterbacks, and you got Brock. Nothing against Brock.
So remember, it's going to be in the dome in Arizona, right? And is that grass or turf? That's turf.
Grass. It's grass.
Really? Oh,
it's
wow.
Grass.
Okay.
They actually have grass in that dome.
So those are the 2 teams I think even the Bengals, I think, will give them fits. Elite quarterbacks, pretty much. Elite quarterbacks who are the prime. Yeah. Those are the 3 teams that are obviously going to make the Super Bowl.
Right.
That's going to be the ones that the Niners are really
and as good as Philly is, like they don't necessarily they had an elite quarterback when he's healthy, but I don't know if he will be. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Rest, who knows?
Jesus says, unless we lose, in reference to this one. So appreciate you, Jesus. The show is over. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll be back tomorrow. Take care. Be safe. Tell your family you love them.